we're gonna take our parachute now, which does have all the holes that I've punched into it, secured and reinforced with reinforcements. I put 2 on each side, so they're on both sides of each hole. It's really, really, really important to secure it. So I have a total of 8 holes, 4 reinforcements on each, so 32 reinforcements used just for the parachute. To attach it to the body of the rocket, I'm going to have to make 8 holes into the top of the body of the rocket. Now for this, you're going to want to use measuring tape. Measuring tape is going to allow you to measure around. We're going to find the measurement of this, and every eighth of whatever that total measurement is, we're going to put a hole in it, which I forgot to mention that I have, and I'm going to measure around the body of the rocket. Okay, so I'm finding as much as I can about it, and it's measuring about 12, so 12 divided by 2 is 6, and divided by 2 again is 3. So if I did 3 inches, every 3 inches, put a hole, I can start by that and then cut those in half. I'll find every about 1.5 inches I can put my hole punch. So I take my tape, I measure around, and every 1.5 inches, I'm just going to mark off every 1.5 inches, starting with 0 and then 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches plus 1.5 inches is 3, plus 1.5 inches is 4.5, plus 1.5 inches is 6. And if you want to use centimeters, you sure could. It's not important what unit of measure you use, as long as you use any measure, and then you continue to cut those in eighths. So now that I have those, I'm going to hole punch about 2 centimeters up every marking that I have. I'm making my hole punches on top of my table, so that way any mess that I have is easy to clean up from the table instead of cleaning it up off the floor. And there you go. I should have 8 holes. I'm double checking from where I started on the tape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Perfect. Now, the most frustrating part comes when students do not pay attention to this last part of attaching our body to the parachute. So, I want to make sure that each hole is sort of aligned. Each hole in my body is aligned with my parachute. Okay, so I can see that it really is. It's measured perfectly. We've planned perfectly. The only thing I'm forgetting is I need to put reinforcements on these holes. I'm going to put a reinforcement on either side. I still have my reinforcements here on the side. I'm going to do that, and we'll be right back. So I have put reinforcements. I've aligned all of my holes in the body of my rocket with the holes that are in the parachute. The only thing we need left is string. So to find the measure of string that you need to find the diameter of your parachute. I could find the diameter by simply measuring the radius, right, to the center, or I could just measure the whole thing. Either one that you choose. When you do measure, make sure that the ruler starts at 0 and it's lined up with the beginning of the parachute, and then measure across. And I'm measuring 80. I did double check in the middle. It is 40. Perfect. I now need 8 pieces of string, each measuring 40 centimeters. So to do that, one person can hold on that end. I'm on this end, and I need 80 centimeters. I'm going to measure up until 80 and cut. I'm going to do that 8 times. Well, I have my 8 pieces of string. I will not need any more tools for the remainder of this portion. So I'm going to clear off some space. You're going to need some space for sure, as this does get a little complex. My 8 pieces of string, I'm going to take each string and I'm first going to tie it to the base, the bottom of the rocket. I want to put 1 string through each hole and tie it. I'm going to do all 8, and then we'll come back and attach it to the parachute. So here I am just tying the strings. I just have about 2 left after this one, And I'm making sure that as I tie the strings, I'm tying them with very little string left over, and again, I'm not tying it too tight. Any excess string that is left over, I'm going to cut that after, but I want to make sure that I leave the length for the parachute. I really don't want to use too much in tying my parachute to my rocket. Now I'm just going to cut the excess string off. Okay? I'm going to make sure that I cut any excess off so it's less complicated. I notice the strings are here. I want to always brush them out, almost like I would hair. I don't want them to get too tangled, so every once in a while I'm doing that. Now, to attach it to the body, I'm going to lay my rocket down to attach the parachute to the body, and I want each string to go to one hole. I'm going to ensure that it's nice and straight and aligned. So I'm taking my strings, one string from one hole to another hole. My cone is here. It's not in the way really. I'm just moving around it. I'm lining them up before I secure it. I want to make sure that nothing is tangled. And that I also have just 8 strings. And there we go. It's perfectly lined up. I'm now going to attach each string from the body to the parachute. Again, small string left over. Doesn't matter if you have big fingers, little fingers. The excess, I'm going to cut off at the end. I'm going to cut all of them off at the same time. Almost there. Loving this feeling. Feels good. We've been working hard on this. Following each step. Really showing some pride in our work. And I think it's all going to pay off. The main thing we have to hope for is good weather. That's always nice when you have good weather to launch in. I've definitely launched in rain. I've launched when it's been cold. But predominantly I've launched when it's sunny. This unit's in the springtime, so spring usually means warmer weather. Hopefully sunny skies. I'm now just cutting off the excess string just to keep it less complicated later. Also looks prettier. And by less complicated, I mean it could get tangled on something. It could just get in the way when later if I need to retie. So I am cutting off the excess. Mainly for show, but just in case something comes up later. Now, as I lift my parachute up, I should see all the strings perfectly in line with the hole, and as I lift, the whole parachute comes up. And there we have our parachute. I can move my parachute around and swing it around, and it really does catch a lot of air, and you could feel it catching a lot of air, and it